fish tank people? FishTankTV.com, Dustin's Fish Tanks, bringing it to you on a Sunday, baby. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. My kids went back to school this week. Hope you college schools are off back in school in that little time before you have classes where you party your brains out. I've been there. So it's Sunday. I'm going to give you guys a little update on the TV tank in a minute. Got it set up out in the garage. But I've had some kind of things from high level mental fish tank things that I've been wanting to share. So I'm going to bust it out for you in 3 parts here. You ready? The plan, the flow, and the feel, okay? So one of my favorite things is to talk about with people is the plan. Because people typically don't have an adequate plan when they approach the new setup in their aquarium. It has a lot to do with their goals and their clear understanding of the lack of a clear understanding of where they really want to go, how much time they have, how much budget do you have, and then time after the thing is set up, okay? So initial time, budget, experience, and skill level. You know how many people ask me hey, I want that carpet effect, I want dwarf baby tears, and I want, dwarf hairgrass. I've never had a tank before my whole life, so there's something to be considered there. And then also the routine maintenance afterwards that goes into it. Water changes, trimming, and this I've been thinking about with people with their second tank. By the way, I want to know how many tanks do you all have? Please put a note in the comments of how many tanks you all have and that you would be willing to show, okay? And this leads me to my second point. I've been thinking about this with a lot of people with their second, third, fourth tanks, okay? Multi-tank-itis has affected all of us, okay? I've been a victim of it since the age of 15, all right? I had a 29-gallon tank, I had a 15-gallon, and I had a 20 long with snakeheads in it in my bathroom, whatever, okay? It's also affecting me down here in this basement right here. I had a 220, I used to have a 90 over there, and then 475. This was even before the greenhouse, all right? So multi-tank has affected all of us. Here's the one thing that I've learned. Don't sacrifice one great tank for just 2 good ones or 2 not so good ones, okay? Have a plan both initially and then when you're adding that second tank, realize you got to do maintenance on the first tank that was looking pretty good, that got you excited to make you get the second tank. And then the second tank, which is going to take away time for your first good tank. So just keep that in mind when you're approaching the adding tanks, and then tell me how many tanks you got. Also, the flow, okay? This is where it gets fun for me, and it's a riot because I see it happening with people all the time. When you get that rhythm, and you get that flow, and you get that intuition of what you want next with your tank and what you want to go where, okay, you finally found that piece of driftwood that goes in that tank that fits perfect, or you've been man, I got this hexagon tank and I don't know what to do, and Steve did this with the Guppies tank, okay, or you figured out, the left side of my tank is just lacking, and you finally nail it, and you get that flow, or you just go to the pet store every 2 days because you're just straight hooked on the hobby. I love this. Be aware of when you are in the flow, and also be aware to not the flow, okay? Don't screw up the flow. If you're in there and you're flowing and your tank's growing great, don't just add a ton of fish and throw off, the nitrogen cycle, or add some big monster fish that eats everything, or some plant that's way out of your league, okay? So just be cognizant of when you're in the flow with your aquarium and just roll with that flow, roll with that tempo, roll with that rhythm. I'd love to hear your comments on this as well. And then the last part for me, this is big, it's the part that I want people to get to when you have that feel, when you have that instinctively know what you're about to do or should be doing next on your tank without being scared and looking at test strips. Don't get me wrong, if you got to test your tank if something's up, that's for sure, but you want to get to the point where you can watch the plants, observe the fish, and have a feel of what to do. For example, you're sitting at home, you've had a long break, you've been power feeding your fish 3 times a day bloodworms. Well, you might want to do a bigger water change at that time because you got a little bit more waste in your aquarium. So I just want people to get to the point, and I think a lot of people that have been keeping tanks for a long time have this, is they have a feel, okay? They have a feel of where they're going and what to do, and they just kind of have a move, and they kind of just flow with their tank. Every tank is different, so get the feel for your tanks. So let's switch it up, let's switch channels, let's check out the TV tank.
Speaking of flow, it took me a minute, and it's taking me a minute to get my flow with this TV tank. It's certainly come along nice. I like this driftwood. I'd like for it to sink. It's not sinking, that's why we got the rocks on top there, but the Anubias copperfolia is sweet. It will come out a little bit. Goldfish is in there, straight chilling. So we're having a good time with this. Added the crypts, dosed a ton of potassium to get it rolling. So yeah, having a good time. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe. Hit me up on Facebook, Dustin's Fish Tanks on Facebook. Everybody make it an awesome week and tank on, people. Later.